We're back. This is XL 10-minute leaders, 10 minutes with leaders of different backgrounds, different walks of life. Some in technology, some in business, some in society, some are leadership coaches, some are authors. Today, we're joined by a bit of all of the above. Raven Harris, all the way from Georgia. Raven, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Graham, for having me. Excited.
Not, yeah, and a podcast host as well. I forgot to mention that one, so we'll talk a little bit about that. So we got 10 minutes, Raven. Are you ready?
Ready.
Let's do it. Okay, let's kick off. So Raven Harris, XL 10-minute leaders live. Your 10 minutes starts now. First question, what does it say on your business card?
Well, Graham, if I had a business card, it would say Raven M. Harris, CEO and founder of Activate the Dream, a leadership solutions company.
But you don't have one.
I do
But
not.
by choice, I guess.
Yeah, once things start opening up and I'm moving around more, I definitely think I will get a business card. But right now, it's so easy just to say, hey, follow me on LinkedIn, connect with me on
Yeah,
Instagram, and don't need it. Not right now.
don't need it. That's old school. That's for old guys like me. What's your background, Raven? I know you say you're a leadership coach. Where do you come from?
Yes, that's a great question. So my background is in healthcare administration. So a year ago, this time, I was the CEO of a hospital. So very interesting
Mm,
experience considering the pandemic.
Which hospital was that?
So it's a hospital in the Phoenix, Arizona area. It's an
Mm.
LTAC, which stands for Long-Term Acute Care Hospital.
Now, how many people were you managing effectively?
Over 200.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And now you're a leadership coach. How has that change been for you, moving from running an organization to helping other people run their organizations?
That is another wonderful question. And it really is part of my story and why I named my company Activate the Dream. I found that so many people that I've interacted with over my career felt stuck or felt like, hey, I'm just going through the motion. I have a job where I don't really love it, but it pays the bills.
Mm.
And I decided with my life, hey, live full, die on empty. I saw so much death and fear and just chaos over this past year, and it really made me reflect on what are you doing with your life, Raven? How are
Mm.
you leading your life when it comes to personally and professionally? What are your values, and are you making choices and decisions in alignment with your values? And that's what I work with individuals as well as organizations that have new and emerging leaders that they really want to develop. That's what I work with them on.
Hmm. Was it a series of events or was it a specific event that tipped you over the edge that you thought, no, I have to change and go in a different or take a pivot in my path?
Mm. So it's interesting. I've always felt what I call an inner tug to do something different, to do something
Mm.
more. And I didn't follow it. I suppressed it for years because you think, oh, I went to school, I went to grad school, I've worked up, I climbed the corporate ladder. I have arrived. I've done all of these things before the age of 30. So I'm working hard, but I always knew there was something more. There was something different, something better, something that was in alignment with my calling, my skill sets. And to answer your question, it was a series of events. And last year, being in hospitals, seeing people pass away without their loved ones because there's no visitation, seeing people at their lowest moments really made me start thinking about, hey, this is it.
Mm.
Is this what you dreamed of? Is this the life? This is not a test run, right? This is not a test drive. This is the only life we get. And are you living and leading yours the way you always dreamed of, the way you always imagined? Is this what you wanted? And the answer was a clear no. So
Mm.
I made that leap of faith to go into entrepreneurship and help other people find where that purpose and professional alignment are for themselves.
Mm. I imagine as well at the time, if you were leaving a hospital in the peak of probably one of the worst pandemic that most living people have known. That couldn't have been easy, could it? You know, that the demand for your skills and services would have been at the peak, and yet you were deciding that you were going to take a different direction in your career. I can imagine that would have been easy if, for example, you were working in retail and retail was slow because of the pandemic, but it's the opposite with healthcare, right? So how was that decision for you?
And it was not a decision that I took lightly. And I, of course, make sure, I think one of the way I define leadership is making sure that everyone else around you is better. And I made sure that everything was in place as best it could be and equipped my team, the frontline workers, my CNO, my COO, making sure that they were in position to take the reins once I exited. But I also say that you can't pour from an empty cup. And I knew that my cup wasn't full. And I would also, when I think about leadership, I think about service and how can I be of the best service in alignment with my values, in alignment with who I am and what I'm called to do. I will impact and have a greater, more lasting impact on lives when I am walking in my purpose, when I'm doing what I was called to do. So it definitely wasn't a decision that I took lightly. It required a lot of prayer, a lot of, I call it my Fab Five. So a lot of counsel with my mentors, close friends, family. But I was for sure, and am still sure, it was the right decision for me.
What is broken in the world of leadership such that we need somebody like Raven to come in and bring in some new ideas, some fresh ideas? There's a lot of writing about leadership. We've been talking about leadership for 40, 50 years in business. What are you bringing that's different? And also, what do people generally get wrong in business when they start thinking about leadership?
I think what's broken and also what people get wrong is I call it lowercase and uppercase L. So people think that I don't have a title, so I'm not a leader, or they discount what their role is, a part of the team. Everyone has the capability of being a lead. You can lead in the way you lead your family. You can lead in the way that you work alongside your peers, your coworkers, your teammates. So people often think, well, because I don't have the title, the longevity with the company, that I'm not a leader. But I always say maximize the moment. What are you doing in the now? What are you doing in your current role? How are you showing up right now? I think sometimes we get really distracted by the destination and don't enjoy the journey and don't learn in the journey. I always say also too, there's no failure, just feedback. And I think that a lot of leaders, when they're seeking, as I mentioned before, like, oh, let me climb the corporate ladder. It's like, what are you doing with what you have right now? Maximize the moment, maximize the opportunity, the experience, and grow where you're planted.
Now you have a podcast as well, Reset with Raven. So the challenge I'm going to set you next, Raven, is to put together the ultimate podcast in heaven with 3 leaders. Ooh. So let's say we're going to design, these leaders could be alive or dead. Now you've got a podcast roundtable format, 3 empty seats, 3 leaders that you would like to put in those positions, small L's, big L's, however you want to play it. Who are you going to fill the first seat with?
So the first seat is going with a guy named Jesus, the utmost leader. The second seat would go with my father. I am a daddy's girl, to and through. Love that man. Father's Day is coming up, so that is my guy. He is definitely leading our household and our family. And then the third L would probably be, I'll just go with one person that I admire and I love to read a lot of his work is Robin Sharman. He calls himself the leadership humanitarian. And I just love following his work and has so much knowledge and wisdom when it comes to leadership and working with people from all over the world and some of the highest positions, what people would call the uppercase L. So I'm a great admirer of his work.
It's going to be a very interesting podcast. I don't know your dad, but I think the energy is going to be very calm, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And yourself at the table.
Yeah. And one of the things that people even share with me, and I know that that's one of my gifts, is I am an affirmer, an encourager, an uplifter. And that's the energy that I want around me as well. So I want calm, but soothing and relaxing at the same time.
Is that a quality of a leader?
I think so, depending on the situation, depending on the scenario. And I think especially during this pandemic, the leaders that didn't lose their head, the leaders that were able to really coach their team members. Because I remember I had nurses, I had physicians, I had respiratory therapists. I'm scared to go in this room. I don't know what this is the fear of the unknown. This is new. What if I bring something home to my family? So how do we gather as much information that we have and make the best decision with the information that we have during that time, and letting my staff know, hey, I'm here with you. I was here 7 days a week as well. I'm here with you. I got your back. Whatever you need, however I can support you. I'm not clinical. However I can support you, I'm here. We're in this together.
There's a lot being written, isn't there, about how leadership evolved and manifested during the pandemic, and many comparisons drawn between men and women leaders during this time. And if we were to look at political leaders, for example, there was a lot written about how women did a lot better as leaders during the pandemic. Do you have any thoughts on that? Was there something that women brought to the table that men maybe were blindsided to, or do you think it was just a bit of hype?
I don't know. Maybe it's that more in, I don't even say in touch with their emotions, but maybe just in dealing with chaos, intense environments, raising a family. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, would love to find out, but I think I was curious as well. I thought a lot of it may be due to the fact that, the small L, big L, some people may be leaders by title alone as opposed to their character. As you know, having managed 200 people, is that there are many leaders within those 200, right? Who aren't necessarily the ones with the most senior titles. They're the ones who have the characteristics. Maybe they're first-time leaders. Maybe they're people who just haven't been spotlighted yet. And so in a way, often it's that more men tend to get into positions by virtue of the fact of who they are. And more women have to get there by virtue of the fact of, how they behave and how they act with others, right? So that may be, I don't know, in the political sense, why the women leaders may have those qualities and certain men leaders don't. But anyway, that's a controversial topic to end on. And I'm sure people want to find out more about leadership in your podcast as well. So where are we going to send them, Raven?
My podcast is Reset with Raven. It's all conversations with high achievers who have successfully navigated the reset. And I always say that everyone at some point in their time in their life, they will experience a reset. You either are in a reset, just came out of one, or you're about to go through one.
Yeah,
and
it's a good philosophy to live life by.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Excellent. All right. It's Raven Harris, everybody, joining us to talk about leadership as well as a podcast and some insights into her journey as well. Raven, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for joining us on XL 10 Minute Leaders Live today.
Likewise. Thank you for having me, Graham.